Bull Bar, Rock Sliders, the rear bar setup, and the underbody protection. On the front, you can see I've put the Onca bar, and it's the exact same bar that I've got in the 79. Now, I was looking for something that looked a bit different. I wanted a different look for this vehicle, but everything else I saw in the market was either too commercial looking, too boxy looking, or a bit of a risk to try it out. The thing is, I took a risk trying the Onca bar out in the 79, and unfortunately, I've hit a massive emu and a big kangaroo as well. But the silver lining of that was the proof that the bar could withstand it. So it got me confident enough to put it on this vehicle as well. We are removing the old bull bar and replacing it with a new bull bar. I just gained 2 inches of lift. Second time I'm fitting this type of bar to a 70 series. You can do it with 2 people. 3 people is much easier. There's also 2 little mounting brackets for those holes that are down here. This bar does require 2 brackets as well to mount it, whereas the other bar, you just have the bar and mount it. Like a glove. Alright, now I can get to these bloody bolts. My advice, if you're going to fit anything to a vehicle that's got anything to do with the chassis, make sure you put the bolts in finger tight first, and then get a spanner and just give it a light twist and make sure you're not cross threading it, because once you cross thread these, it's an absolute nightmare to sort that out. And I don't have the tools to do that. Well, the installation is complete now. Well, apart from wiring up the little fog lights here, which I'll get to. There's a few things I need to be able to do that properly. Winch is hooked up, winch works. That's a bonus. All in all, this took on and off 3 hours. That's about it. One slight difference this bar has compared to the one on the 79 is the fact it's got 3 tabs. The other one's only got 1 tab, but I'm not going to use them because I don't like staring at antennas or aerials all bloody day long, and especially at night with the light reflecting off them. I have removed the hook from the winch rope because it's not necessary to have a hook these days. You've got soft shackles, so that's what I'm relying on now. Straight around in the loop, it does the same job, and there's less metal to fly around. I will, however, more than likely replace this winch rope with a Maxtrax rope because you can get more spools on it. I put the Xeon 12,000 pound winch in there. One thing I have added to this bar that doesn't come with it is a flip up number plate. Can't quite get it to flip all the way up, but I think that's probably enough. I don't think I'll be winching like that up anyway. We've just noticed something. I've actually got this on backwards. So we're gonna fix that in a second. I do need to get an offset fair lead because the way the Onca bar lines up with the standard fair lead, it's not great if you're winching someone up or you're winching down, but usually you're winching sort of out or up. If you are going for this bar and you're going to pair it up with a, in particular, Xeon worn winch or any worn winch, I believe, you'll have to undo the actual motor gears on the winch and then twist it 90 degrees and put it back together. It's not that difficult, but you just got to be careful, make sure that when you pull it apart, everything goes back in. I had to do that because if I didn't do that, I couldn't access the lever here. So you can go to free spool and lock it back in. Also, it makes it easier for your control box as well, so you can reach it. So that's important that you know that. But yeah, let's change this bloody number plate thing around. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was looking for a different bar, and that was only because I wanted a different look for this vehicle. But at the end, I mean, I love the look of this bar. It looks awesome on the 79 and looks awesome on this vehicle. And I know, look, bull bars shouldn't all be about looks either, but I know that this can handle massive strikes. The other thing I like about how it comes around is the fact that because the indicator light is exposed, you don't have to worry about the extra wiring in the bar either. I know it's not a big deal, but it's a small thing. One other thing I want to touch on with this curve as well, you can see I haven't got a brush bar that goes down to my side step, or rock slide I should say. And the reason for that is I took it off the 79 as well, and I drove it for a year on some hard tracks, through the bush, all the stuff I normally do, and I never needed them. In the past, yes, I have touched things with the brush rails, but I think I've only done that because
it's stuck out further. I'm not putting brush rails on this vehicle either. Probably 50 kilos saved, maybe 20 kilos each side. These fog lights that came with the bar are actually super bright. They're better than my headlights. So if I don't use my spotties and all that, I can actually rely on these. And check this out, cool feature. With the 70 series, they all come standard with a plastic radiator guard. That's why I've chucked this on. And behind it, I've got the Diff pumpkin protector. As far as installing these two, very easy. Underbody protection today, we got the Diff pumpkin protector. This gives you confidence, or gives me confidence at least. It's one of the easiest DIY mods you can do. And as you can see, it's bloody thick. It's probably 4 times thicker than what's on the Diff pumpkin right now. This goes on the outside. You can still access the oils from the bottom and the top. We got a radiator guard which is going on as well, because right now there's a plastic guard here. A plastic guard. That's got to come off. All right, let's get to it. If you own a 70 series, this is what's guarding your radiator. I'm going to feel much more confident with this. Today's neck day. It's the easiest DIY install you can do, especially this one here. It's just 4 bolts off, 4 bolts in, up she goes. This one here requires a little bit more stuff to do. However, if you have a workmate like I have, it's so easy to fit. If you have a GXL, you've got to move the locker lines a bit. You've got to jimmy bar over a brake line slightly, but you're not really damaging anything. You're just moving it slightly. It needs to move like 10 mil, and it's got plenty of play in it. This is also, I believe, protected my 79 for a long time, hence why I put it on this vehicle as well. So just on the front there. And being a low rider on lower tyres, it's probably going to collect things a lot more than the 79 until we get it lifted. Well, bigger tyres on it, that is, because that's the only thing that's going to lift the Diff pumpkin further up. Right, we moved from the Outback and the Bull Bar. Let's move to the side steps. Now, these side steps are made by OTF, On Track Fabrication, and they're the exact same design as what's on the 79. I'm looking over there because the 79 is right over there. But we're not talking about a 79, so bring the bloody camera back. This is, like I said, mounted the exact same way as on the 79. I have put those through so much punishment. I know, and I'm confident that this is not going to fail. Now, I have made these slightly wider, so I have a bit more space to stand on to reach the max tracks on the roof. That's pretty much all I really need to reach off here. And you'll note that I've gone past the door and as close to this back wheel as I can, and that's because the steps that were on there before only covered the same length as the door. They were just steps that were just made to get in and out of the car. That was it. If I hit any rock with them, the rock would have been wedged in here and then caved in my panels. So therefore, if you are going to get rock steps for your own vehicle, make them the full length. And just like the 79, I have also Linexed the top of this step here. Not essentially for grip, but to eliminate the noise, like the sound from rocks hitting it, and also just to add protection, and probably mainly for looks, to be honest, because it's nice and black. It's got that textured finish, just like the Bull Bar has as well. And to complete the bar work on the vehicle from front to rear, we've got a Thorburns Rear Bar, and you will notice that I've only got one swing away arm on it. That's because I want to be able to let the kids get in and out of the vehicle. Well, that's all changed now. Because of that right there. Now that's a sneak peek. No more looky, that's coming up. That is probably one of the best parts of the whole vehicle. So now it doesn't matter. So I will add another arm to this, and I've got 2 arms in the workshop right now. One of them has a barbecue holder. Now I will admit, the barbecue holder, it's not a very pleasant looking thing because there's a giant box on the back. That said, however, I will only use that when we're camping with the family, say New Year's Eve, you'll generally go somewhere. That's where I'll put the barbecue on the back. It would be a great addition to the kitchen that's already in here, just everything else that's going to be finished on the vehicle. That is the only time I'll put the barbecue on there. Running 2 spare wheels, I will, but not until the Troop is finished and is ready to do its maiden voyage interstate to essentially go through Australia or around Australia doing a lap. That is yet to come. But for now, I don't want to put it on because it's not necessary having that weight, and it's already a 2-action motion I've already added to the rear bar. Having another wheel means I've got to open another thing. You may note that this mount here is very rusty. That's fine. I'm going to brush it back and then add a trailer hub bearing kit on top of it just to keep it greased up. That way, when I'm ready for the trip, or I want to put the barbecue thing on I spoke about earlier, take that off, put that on, we're ready to go. Topping them on here, we're in the outback at one of my favourite camps. Very friendly camp. The flies are super friendly. So the main reason why I wanted to put the bar on in the first place was to get the weight off the door, because this door was sagging a bit even before I bought this, and it's gotten a little bit worse because I had a 33 hanging off the back of it. So these doors aren't really made to hold big heavy tyres, and especially when you use them proper off-road. This is 2015 as well, so it's had a number of years with a wheel on the back. I need to adjust the door, but that was the main reason why I got the rear bar, was for taking that pressure off this door. And I'll still have to modify the ladder. We have a modification line already thought out here because I want to keep the ladder. It is handy to get up and down. The rear bar, on the other hand, is also pretty handy for me to get up and get this box. I don't have to open the door like I had to before. You'll also note that I have removed the rear tow hitch receiver. I mean, the whole tow assembly is not there anymore. And the reason for that is because I'm not going to tow with this vehicle. This vehicle is not going to tow. It's going to be a home on wheels. Why the heck would I tow something? I wouldn't be able to use the awesome kitchen and all the stuff I'm building in here if I had a tow bar here. No towing with this vehicle. So you might be thinking, well, what are you going to do about a rear recovery point? I did think of that. And that's why I chose this bar as well, because the Thorburns bar has 2 recovery points here, and they are directly mounted in line with the chassis. If I am going to recover of this, if I ever need to, it will be a bridle, so I'll put equal stress on both sides. I won't be just doing one rope to one of these. I wouldn't trust it for that, but I would trust it for a bridle strap and then onto a single strap there, even a load. The other reason obviously was for protection, although the Troopy does come with an actual steel bar on the back, so they're actually not bad from factory, although I did push mine up a little bit about a week before I put this on. Connects onto the chassis here and up along the sides there, so it actually offers more protection down the side. There is a high lift jack point here as well, which could be used. Next thing I want to talk about is the water tap. So I just need to turn the pump on though. So inside here, I've got a Milwaukee battery, which I've borrowed off the cameraman. It's got a little charge port here, so I can turn it on. That's just until I get my rear power sorted. And then get water out of the tap. Now the cool thing is, if we shut it, let's make sure this door's shut properly, we can still get some water out of the bit of foam here. I'm going to do something else there though, but yeah, it's got a nice scratch and a dent in it already, because I'm so used to opening this door and then just grabbing that door and then boom. Oh, for f***'s sake. Did it again. I guess a lot of Troopy owners can relate to that, to put a rear bar on. And it's not necessarily yourself that does it, it could also be other people, which has also happened. Anyone else who's running a rear wheel bag on a tyre can relate to this. They're an absolute pain to get on sometimes. So much easier now. I always dreaded taking them off, so I used to empty them can by can. But now I can actually take the whole bag off and tip it out. I had a rather big requirement list before I committed to this rear bar. I've seen many rear bars through modified. It's like 120 episodes almost, probably about 60 or 50 of them had a wagon or a Troopy with a rear bar. The requirement list went like this: protection on the quarter panel, done. How's it mounted though? It's mounted to the chassis on both sides. DIY fitment, was it easy to do? Well, with the YouTube video and the instructions, those combined, it was fairly easy to do. But if you had to mount this with your tow assembly, it would be an absolute nightmare. You'd need to get some nuts with a wire welded onto it, just tack welded, so you could get it into those finicky places. But it didn't matter for me because I didn't want the tow bar on there at all. And I probably saved, I reckon, 30, 40 kilos. That thing's bloody heavy, eh? Recovery points, that was another check thing. Having 2 options for swing away arms, having decent reverse lights, so I didn't have to cut a hole in this bar and then put them in later. So it's already got those lights. They're really bright, really good. Well, the list is finally getting shorter and we're almost there to go on our lap to cross the country. So we've got engine mods left to do. We have suspension. We got the internal fit out, which is happening right now. That was that sneak peek you might have seen. And then we got the internal power. That's going to be a massive job, doing all those things DIY, except for the tuning, of course. And I'd like to welcome my latest four-wheeling legend member, Dean Nessick. Welcome to the top tier of the members. There are some exclusive and unique benefits to being a member. It also goes a long way to help the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you don't want to join the membership, you can always subscribe. That also goes a long way to help. See you later.